Hi folks, this is Anthony. Welcome back to my show. First, there was the beef between Aaron Smith-Levin and Mitch Brisker. Then, of course, there's the renewed beef between Aaron and Chris Shelton. But what's the latest beef in the non-Scientology world that may have gone under the radar until now? It's the potential beef between Scientology critic Alanzo and myself. But let's see if there's really anything behind it. Now, I've done nearly 400 videos, and if you've watched more than a handful, you may have gotten a good idea about myself. For instance, I've pointed out that my name really isn't Anthony R.R. Mills, but simply Anthony R. Mills. But there are many people throughout the world with that name, Anthony R. Mills, and nobody else using two R's, so that's why I've adopted that name. And as I've pointed out, I've never been a member of Scientology, but have been casually studying about it since that blockbuster cover of Time magazine came out many, many years ago when I was in high school. Of course, some people dispute that and think that I'm in OSA, which I find amusing and flattering. It's up to you to determine whether I'm genuinely not ever been in Scientology or secretly in league with Captain Miscavige. Anyway, from time to time, since I seem to be the only one using the Anthony R.R. Mills name, I'll Google that name and see what comes up. And honestly, very little comes up other than links to my YouTube channel, although there's been some comments on a DB Cooper message board asking about myself from a year or two ago. Anyway, the latest thing to pop up on Google led me to Alanzo's blog. And I happened to see that blog post maybe about 10 days ago and have just been putting off responding until today, which may be a pre-snow day out here in Oregon. Now, this gentleman spells his name a little bit differently than the traditional spelling, so I wanted to search out and see if I could find exactly how he pronounces it. And I couldn't find anything on his blog, but I decided to see if he had posted anything on YouTube where he pronounces his name. And sure enough, the video that I came across just a few moments ago directly addresses the issues that he's written his blog about concerning me. And to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that somebody who's had a blog for quite a long time seems to have only recently started uploading videos to his YouTube channel, of which there are now 2 videos. And up to a few moments ago, he only had 14 subscribers. I hit the subscribe button, so he now has 15. If you're interested in my content, then I would highly suggest that you subscribe to Alanzo's. I'll have a link in the show notes to his YouTube channel, as well as a link in the show notes to his blog. He's a former Scientologist and writes a lot about the various facets of what's going on in the ex-Scientology world. And despite my clickbaity title, I don't think that Alanzo and I have any beef, and I don't think that we actually ultimately disagree on the topic that he addresses. He mentions that he left a message on one of my videos and I responded, and obviously not to the satisfaction of what Alanzo might have wanted to have heard from me. And then in the video and in the blog, Alanzo responded to what I had responded to him. I think that his responses are extremely well thought out and well informed, and I encourage people to investigate many sources of information on whatever topic, not just for my own channel. As far as my thoughts on Mike Rinder, I've known about him for a long time. I want to be very careful about what type of words I use so that my video does not get demonetized. But I think whatever strong negative terminology about an individual that you might come up with might be appropriate for Mike Rinder when he was in Scientology. I think that it's clear that things that he did when he was in OSA were extremely terrible. Do former Scientologists who have been fair gamed by Mike Rinder have legitimate reasons to absolutely hate him? I would agree that they do. Have there been actual homicides carried out by the Church of Scientology, possibly orchestrated or with the knowledge of Mike? I don't know. I think that we need to be very cautious when we make statements like that, or at least I'm being cautious. I'm not saying that Alanzo needs to be cautious, and I'm not saying that he's incorrect in naming 3 people who died under mysterious circumstances. Alanzo may be completely accurate in those statements, and I think that they certainly should be investigated. Has Mike Rinder's work since leaving Scientology redeemed him to some degree? I think that from my perspective as a never been in Scientology, his current work does seem to be somewhat redemptive. If your standard is causing harm and exposing current or past bad acts by the Church of Scientology, then I would say that he has done some redemptive work. Again, this is not to diminish the pain and suffering experienced by many, many people within the Scientology and ex-Scientology world. I really feel bad for everyone involved and everyone who suffered for no fault of their own in this terrible mind control cult. Because I've never been in, I can view Mike's current actions as, on the whole, being more positive than negative. But I understand the perspective of many other people who, because of their experiences or for whatever reason, don't share my opinion. And again, these are not necessarily facts that we're dealing with, but opinions on what are thought to potentially be facts, or at least acts. Alanzo has brought up the issue of Mike's potential involvement with the FBI. How much, if any, assistance has he provided to the FBI? I don't know. He's insinuated that he's worked with the FBI. Can I prove that in a court of law? No. Alanzo brings up some counter-arguments that sound valid, that may indicate that Mike has not provided the level of information to the FBI that he might seem to indicate that he has. Again, it's very difficult for anyone to truly know how much, if any, work Mike has provided to the FBI or any other government agency. Just because Mike doesn't want to say whom he spoke with at the FBI or in what city, or he doesn't remember, doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't happen, although maybe it didn't. For instance, I used to be on my county's Civil Service Commission, and from time to time we heard cases, basically as a court, where county employees, often from the Sheriff's Department, came before us. Do I remember the names of people from a number of years ago that I spoke to or who spoke to the commission or in other settings related to that? No. Does that mean it didn't happen? No. It just means that I don't necessarily remember. Again, I'm not saying Mike Rinder is right or wrong, or that anybody who is opposed to him is right or wrong. I think that if he is the topic of interest to anyone, then by all means listen to various sides, including Alanzo, and try to make up your own mind based on as much relevant information as you can find, while understanding that unless you can actually get into Mike Rinder's mind and have been there the entire time and know exactly what he said and thought and who he's met with, we can't truly, without a doubt, know anything in particular. Okay, I want to end here. Obviously, if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button for me. Hopefully you'll hit the like button, and please leave a comment. And please be sure to check out Alanzo's blog and his YouTube channel. Hopefully you'll subscribe to it and encourage him to start producing more video content for YouTube. I could see his channel really blowing up quickly as far as subscribers are concerned. Again, thank you, everybody, for your interest. I really do appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, check out my other videos. I've done a lot of ex-Scientology ones recently, but I've started doing some other ones, and I think that there may be topics that I cover that might be of interest to you outside of the Scientology world. Okay, thank you very much.